Good afternoon. I was planning today to talk about my writing process, and I figured the best way to do that would be to not write some article, but actually come on here and kind of talk about that. Now, I just read a couple of news articles that has made me want to kind of deter that plan for this week only. This week only. I'm pretty new here to Substack, but one of the things that I think that in trying to get everyone to know about me, I feel like one of the best ways to do that would be to, let people get to know my views as a person. What are you guys getting when you get me? Okay. Um, so one of the things a little speck on my computer screen. One of the things that you'll know about me is and find out about me is the kind of person I am politically. And I think that if you've known me, if you're coming here from another place in social media land like Instagram or from my YouTube channel or from Facebook, you would know that I am a pretty liberal minded person. My viewpoints are very liberal, in fact, and I am not a supporter of the current administration. And one of the major things that I do not support is that big cis pusful bill that he signed, that the president signed on July 4th, 2025. So I saw an article today, and there was a lot of things in this bill, this budgeting bill that I take a lot of issue with. And one of the things in particular was that it was going to cut the funding for corporations that are nonprofit corporations, that such as the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, that helps support things like NPR and PBS. A long time ago, when I first started doing anything under the name of my channel, my YouTube channel, Officially Unofficial Geek, I first started it as a podcast. And at first, I was able to keep up with it and it felt good doing it as a podcast. And then I decided I was going to do it as a channel. But, anyways, one of the things, one of the topics that I talked about when it was a podcast was talking about accurate news sources. And one basically the point of the whole thing was to um, look at different statistics and fact checking and what have you, and come up with the most accurate news sources out there available to you today. And one of the most accurate news sources, and I believe it still technically clocks as one of the most accurate news sources in media today, is PBS. Um, Not only is PBS one of the most accurate news sources that I discovered, it also is a great educator of our nation's children. It's a great educator not only of our nation's children, but also of our nation. Like, if you've ever seen a Ken Burns documentary, okay? Uh, it's the place that a lot of us first discovered um, anything involving, looking at our American heritage and what it means to be an American, and what it means to see the world from where we are right now. And also, really cool documentaries on all kinds of things. There's a really great documentary that they did a few years back involving comic book history involving the LGBTQIA plus community, which was really good, and I very much enjoyed it, and I recommend that to anyone if you can find it. It does history involving movies, politics, um, all kinds of things. If there's something you can learn it probably from a documentary on PBS, whether it be politics, history, science. Um, that can really, be something that you can go to and learn even as an adult. Like, and we're not even getting into the history of kids programming, um, family and kids programming that exists on PBS and NPR, talk radio for oodles of time. But like, let me just really specifically touch on PBS and the importance of PBS. Um, to me, as a little kid, and even little kids now, there's the idea of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, the idea of Sesame Street, trying to show us how to be caring, productive members of society. And oh gosh, guys, does anybody remember Wishbone? The little dog that used to imagine himself, the little terrier that used to imagine himself in classic literature. Speaking of classic literature, PBS getting us excited to read because of LeVar Burton and Reading Rainbow. These are all things that exist in PBS, okay, as well as seeing stage productions of operas, or watching things like Agatha Christie mysteries or Miss Marple mysteries, or like some of us, our first exposure to Doctor Who was because of PBS. And public broadcasting, PBS, was sometimes you would tune into PBS and you would have these like pledge-a-thons, right? So PBS operated a lot on, you would see the little like blurb on the, what was it, the PBS operates on the donations of viewers like you and all that. And I remember years ago watching. It was around St. Patrick's Day, and oh gosh, PBS will do like the whole St. Patrick's Day thing where they'll play like the Celtic women and everything like that. And I'm just like, yes, folk music sung by women. I I am a punk girl and I am a metal girl, and honestly, I got to tell you something. I am a sucker for Irish folk music like nothing else, okay? Let's just put that out there. I just am. Um, my love of Irish folk music, it's yeah. Um, but I remember years ago tuning into the Irish history episodes that and programs that were on there, tuning into Celtic Women. If you never watched Celtic Women, check it out. Um, and they were doing pledge drives, and somebody told me, and I was unaware of this, that yes, they do use a lot of funding from people making pledges, but I didn't realize until then that they did get government funding. um, and I was like, oh, okay. So I was unaware until today exactly how that can vary from market to market. And it basically just means that certain markets need more money than others because, and when I say affiliates and markets, I mean affiliates. So, like A Chicago affiliate might need a different amount of funding help from a nonprofit, and the government may need a different amount, rather than one, say, in Indianapolis, where I currently live, may need more funding in a community in Nevada, versus Chicago, or versus Central Illinois, where I did grow up. Um, so, I mean, think about all these cultural, like lighthouses of our life. Like, right now, talking to you all, it popped into my head. Bob Ross. Bob Ross was on PBS. Um, Famed chef Julia Childs, famed chef Jacques Pepin. Jacques Pepin is a major, Julia Child is a major thing in my household, but I gotta tell you something. Jacques Pepin is like, he is, tears will be shed when that man leaves us. I will tell you that wholeheartedly. Special my partner, my boyfriend, he absolutely loves Jacques Pepin. Um, it's a deep love there. Okay. He will like watch Jacques Pepin, wherever he can find Jacques Pepin content. And I think about all the things throughout my life that led me to who I am right now. And I think about the programming that you encounter in something like PBS, like Reading Rainbow, Wishbone, different theatrical pieces that are, performed, and they record them and they put them up, different kinds of like concerts and that kind of thing. And it's this public access that makes like the educational aspect of everything. And here's what's really going down. Okay. Today, it was put out to the press and to the media that the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, due to the abolishment of their funding from the federal government, this is a nonprofit organization. The Corporation for Public Broadcasting is the company, the nonprofit that gets the funding from the federal government, that then dials it out to public broadcasting affiliates based on their need. And the same is done with NPR. So if you remember earlier, just a few minutes ago, I mentioned that some places need more help than others. And there is an article, it was on, I believe it's on Axios, that has a map that basically pinpoints with a little like colorful dot each of the affiliates in the country, and how much of their funding in the last like year or two is typically received from this nonprofit Corporation for Public Broadcasting, which today announced that they will be ceasing most operations. Most departments will be ceasing operations by the end of September of this year. There will be a skeleton crew, basically, manning the ship until the end of January 2026. Now, here's the thing. This bill that was signed on July 4th, 2025 by the president cut all the funding for the Corporation for Public Broadcasting nonprofit to supply NPR and PBS with funds that they need to compensate past what they are able to basically raise from viewers like you. They know that they cannot keep going without the funding that they receive from the federal government. And they have announced today that they, like I said, will be ceasing operations soon. I'm going to include a link with this post. And I'll get back to what I was planning to do next week with my Substack here. Because I thought it would be a good idea to come and tell you all, in case you didn't know, what exactly the situation is. Now, does it mean that PBS and NPR will surely cease to exist? Well, I can't fully answer that for you, but what I can say is that, like I was mentioning, some affiliates need more help than others. So, I kind of spit on my mouth, but that was weird. I invite you all to check out the article that I'm going to include with this post. And look at your area. Think about how the presence of PBS throughout your life has inspired you to create, has inspired you to write, has inspired you to exist in this world. And I want you to think about that. I want you to think about what would, if you were into PBS as a kid, with Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, with Reading Rainbow, with Wishbone, with Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, or Arthur, or I remember how they used to have the Berenstain Bears cartoon. And Clifford, the big red dog. And think about how all those things may have inspired you in small ways, or for me, in big ways. Take a look at the map. Take a look where you live. And make some decisions about if you're looking to save the education of a child like you, the social education of a child like you, the reading education, the arts education of a child like you, what would you do? And like I said, I'm very new to this. I hope people see this. I hope people are inspired to do something, because our government won't. The right, the left, nobody is going to save you, either through complete inaction or complete disregard. So, if you're able, if you can, what are you going to do? So, next week, We'll get into some more fun stuff. But for right now, me talking to you guys about the importance and talking to you, whoever sees this, about the importance of PBS is just as important as as talking about my inspirations on like me using music to write is just as important as me talking about those things, because I am a writer because of things like PBS. So, talking about the importance of public broadcasting is just as important as talking to you about my writing process, because it is the reason I have a writing process, at least in part. So, thank you. Thank you for joining me if you have. And click subscribe. This is the kind of personality you're getting if you subscribe to my Substack, because I can't stop, won't stop. I dare not to care what people think of what I think. So, until next time, until next week, I'll be seeing ya.